Hello everyone, hope you're all well and keeping safe and keeping busy. We're missing you lots, but I know from all the things that you've been putting on Tapestry that you are really busy and doing lots of lovely learning. So one of the learning things this week, one of our focuses this week has been about Easter, and some of you might already have looked at the story that we put for you onto Tapestry, all about Easter with all the pictures. Now, this is another version of the Easter story. Do you remember when it was Christmas time and we read the Nativity story and we read lots of different versions? Do you remember what that means? That's it. Can you say it a bit louder? That's right, well done. It means when it's the same story, but it's told in lots of different ways. So there might be slight differences, but the basic story stays the same. Now, so this story is still called, look, the Easter story, but it is going to be told in a slightly different way to what you've seen on Tapestry. And the Easter story takes place quite a long time after the Christmas story takes place, but it's about the same person. Can you remember his name? That's right, it's Jesus. Well done, good remembering everybody. But when we saw Jesus last in the Christmas story, in the Nativity story, did he look like this? Was he a grown up? No, you're right. He was a baby in the Nativity story, wasn't he? He was baby Jesus. Here, the Easter story took place a long time later, actually 33 years later, when he was a grown-up. So here we go, let's read our story. Here we go. The Easter story, written by Catherine Sully, that's the author, illustrated by Simona San Filippo. So that's the person who's drawn these lovely pictures. It was a long, dark night. Jesus was in trouble. Some people said he was the king of the Jews. King Herod didn't like it. Do you remember King Herod? And our song, Old King Herod was a very nasty man and a very nasty king was he. Do you remember that from our Christmas songs? Well, he still wasn't a very nice person. While Jesus prayed, Peter, James and John sat under the trees keeping watch. But one by one, they fell asleep. Before sunrise, Jesus saw another disciple coming. It was Judas, with a crowd carrying torches and swords. Jesus woke the disciples. "Hello, Master," said Judas, and kissed Jesus on the cheek. Now the priests knew which man was Jesus. Jesus was arrested. Peter swung his sword, but Jesus told him not to fight. Peter, James and John ran away. Jesus was taken to the chief priest. Peter had followed and was listening from a safe distance. But someone spotted him. "You were with Jesus," they said. "No, I wasn't," said Peter. "I don't know him." 3 times Peter said he didn't know Jesus. Can you show me 3? That's right, 3 times. Just as Jesus had said he would. Cock-a-doodle-doo! Then the cock crowed, and Peter cried because he hadn't stood up for Jesus. Had he been a good friend to Jesus? No, he hadn't, had he? But he was a bit afraid. He didn't really know what was going on at the time. The priests took Jesus to Pilate, the Roman governor. "Are you the King of the Jews?" Pilate asked him. Jesus said nothing. Pilate asked the crowd, "What has he done? He's hurt no one." But the crowd was angry. "Who shall I let go?" asked Pilate. "Barabbas, the murderer," there he is, "or Jesus, King of the Jews?" "Let Barabbas go!" they cried. Pilate was amazed, but he let Barabbas go. Look, there's somebody here calling out, "Boo, boo," to Jesus. That's not a very kind thing to do, is it? The crowd made fun of Jesus as he was taken to a hill called Calvary. They put a crown of thorns on his head. Look, here's another one calling out, "Boo," again. Poor Jesus. Jesus was nailed to a wooden cross between 2 thieves. "If you are the Son of God," said the mean thief, "why don't you save yourself?" "What has he done?" said the kind thief. "He's hurt no one." At midday, the sky went dark. The darkness lasted for 3 hours. "God forgive them," Jesus cried. "They don't know what they are doing." At the same moment, the earth rumbled and Jesus died. A Roman soldier was standing guard. "He really was the Son of God," he said. That evening, a man called Joseph took Jesus' body to a stone tomb. He washed Jesus and dressed him in clean clothes. Then he rolled a heavy stone over the opening of the tomb. Soldiers came to guard the tomb. All this time, Mary Magdalene and Mary from Galilee, Jesus' friends, were watching. Two days later, Mary Magdalene and Mary from Galilee came back to the tomb. The soldiers had gone. The stone was rolled back, and the tomb was empty. A shining angel said, "Don't be afraid. Jesus is alive." They ran quickly to tell the disciples, but on the way, they met Jesus. "Don't be afraid," said Jesus. "I will meet the disciples in Galilee." The disciples went to Galilee and waited. While they were talking, Jesus suddenly appeared. They were frightened. "Why are you afraid?" asked Jesus. "It is me." He showed them the marks on his hands and his feet from the cross. "Go and tell the world what I have taught you. Tell them they should be sorry for what they have done wrong. If other people do bad things, you should always forgive them." Jesus led his disciples to a place near Bethany. He lifted up his hands and blessed them. Jesus left them and was taken up into heaven. The disciples went out into the world. They spread God's message just as Jesus had told them. Now, do you remember the sign that we learnt when we were singing our nativity songs at Christmas, for when we were singing Jesus' name? Do you remember the sign was Jesus? That's because that's showing the marks on his hands where the nails were put in when he was on the cross. So it's Jesus, using your middle finger, Jesus. Can you do that as well? Ready? Middle finger, Jesus. Well done, everybody. Well done. Now we have a couple of questions on the back here. Can you remember who led the crowd to Jesus? Can you have a think back? It was near the beginning of the story. That's right, well done. It was Judas. Here we go. And Judas led the crowd and he kissed Jesus on the cheek, didn't he? Very good listening, everybody. Next one. How many times did Peter say he didn't know Jesus? Can you remember? Well done, that's right. It was 3 times. Can you show me 3 times again? Well done, 3 times, and then the cock crowed. What did the crowd put on Jesus's head? Can you remember when they were all being a bit unkind to him, weren't they? And they were booing him. Can you remember what they put on his head? Well done. It was a crown of thorns. Absolutely right. How did Jesus die? Can you remember? We've got a clue, haven't we, now that, because we know his name, Jesus. Can you remember? Can you tell me quite loudly how he died? Yeah, that's right. He was nailed onto the cross, wasn't he? There we go. That's where the nails were for Jesus. Where was Jesus buried? Good listening, butterflies. He was buried in a tomb, a stone tomb with a big stone rolled in front of him. That's it. And our last question, who found out first of all that Jesus was alive? Can you remember the names of his friends? Well done. Really good listening. It was Mary Magdalene and Mary from Galilee. Really good listening, everybody. Well done. I hope you have enjoyed that version of the Easter story. And maybe you can have a look at this one, and then you can have a look at the one on tapestry and talk with your grown-ups as to how they're different. Lovely to see you all, everybody. Take care and see you soon.